This is going to be our first webinar for the course. So the first course is Understanding Data and its Ecosystem. And this is the first course in our bootcamp. So the goal of this course is actually to teach us all those basic concepts we need to know to build our career in the data ecosystem, whether to become a pro fully or probably to just become someone who is data literate. So we are going to start with data and data literacy in this generation. My name is Opeyemi Olasokami. As we continue in the course, we will also look at some of the important terms that every data professional should understand and should be aware of. The objective of this first phase is that we should know what data is and what is literacy also mean. We should know the importance of data in this era. You should also understand the types of data, and we should understand the new trend based on this particular period. So what is data? Data is a raw facts and figures that can be processed to extract meaningful information. So basically, when we have facts and figures, those facts and figures, when they are not yet processed, we call them data. So it's just like having a raw material that is not yet processed, but this time around is in terms of facts and figures. For example, if an Indian man is watching this video later and ask another man who is in Nigeria that, please, this person that is speaking, where do you think this person comes from in Nigeria? Like, can you predict the state? So if the person asks, okay, what is the name of the presenter? And the guy said, okay, the name of the presenter is Opeyemi Olasokami. Anybody who is familiar with the Southwest states will understand that this person is actually a Yoruba man, because it's only a Yoruba man that can bear this particular name. So that information, that fact, we can extract that information of knowing where that particular name comes from in Nigeria. So, and that is what data is. Data is just facts and figures, but the beauty of data is that when we look into it and we start looking at the patterns and some of the trends there, we can start extracting information. And believe me, the amount of information or the importance of information that is extracted from data cannot be overemphasized. So when we talk about data, there are several categories we can put them in. So we can classify them based on several features. One of them is the structure of the data. So there is what we call a structured data. A structured data just means a data that we can put inside table in form of a column and row. For example, if we want to record the performance of students in the class, you can easily say, okay, the name of the course, the score of a student, and the name of a student. We can put all of these inside a table, and we put it in form of rows and in form of columns. However, there are some data that we cannot put inside rows and inside columns. We call them unstructured data. And a good example of that is our Gmail. When you look at our Gmail message, you see that you can extract the name of the sender, you can extract the Gmail address of the sender, you can extract the time when the message was delivered. but we cannot extract the document that follows that particular Gmail and put it inside table. So that kind of data is called a semi-structured data, in which some component of the data can be put inside a table, such as the Gmail address, the name of the sender, and co. Whereas some other content, such as the content of the Gmail itself, like the messages that were written there, and some other files that might have been attached to that particular message, could not be put inside the table. So we call that a semi-structured data. However, we have a purely unstructured data, which is actually when we have data such as videos, audio files. Those are data that you cannot put inside the table. So this video now, we are recording it. So we can insert this video inside the table. Why? Because it is an unstructured data. Now, what is data literacy? Data literacy is the ability to read, ability to interpret, to create, and communicate data as information. So, like we said, inside data, there are a lot of hidden information. So, and anybody cannot just dabble into it and extract it. There are techniques and there are methodologies which are required to do that. And that ability is what is called data literacy. And that is why those who have that ability are being paid for it, because it's not a common knowledge. Now, data literacy has become an essential skill for the modern workforce. Why? Because there is data everywhere now. Over the period of years, like 30, 40, 50 years ago, people were actually working with data, but the difference is that data was not so available then like it is now. Now we have data everywhere because of the internet, because of the kind of infrastructure that we now use today. And this large and huge amount of data has required the necessity of experts who will extract information and make this information useful for day-to-day progress of businesses. So that is why it is now becoming a norm across industry to employ what is called data-driven decision making. So data-driven decision making is when we make decisions that are informed by information derived from a data. And a good example of this is this. Assuming we have two companies, both of them want to buy a generator. So company A just sent someone to the market, and the person got to the market, look around, and got one gen that he believes will work for the hospital or for the organization. So they got it, he brought it home, and the generator is being used. However, company B said, before we go out to buy our own generator, we are going to do some basic research. So they went to other institutions like them, probably like 20 or 30 different ones, and look at different types of generators they were using, and look at the vendors that sold those generators, the make-up of those generators, the capacity, the kind of fuel it uses, and collect some data about those different generators. And then they ask questions about their performance and so on. And after putting all this information together, they look at what they need a generator for in their own company. They look at the type of generator they will need, and they look into those different types of generator and choose a particular one that is going to fit their business need, so that when they are going to the market, they are not just going based on any random gambling. Rather, they are going with an information that is already being that an information that is being supported by insight generated from data. So, and that is a simple way of explaining what data-driven decision making is. And believe me, in developed countries, you won't see any reasonable organization that will make decisions without using this particular method. And this cut across all industries, including sports. In fact, Arsenal Football Club had to buy a whole data consulting firm into their institution, because you can't do anything tangible in this generation without using this method. And that is why being able to handle data is one of the best skill sets anybody can have in this generation. Now, I have spoken about the type of data, the structured one, the semi-structured one, and the unstructured one. It is important for us to note that structured data is just about 20% of all the data available in nature. Every activity of nature generates data, and that is the beauty. But more than 80%, or let's say an average of 80% of all the data that is generated is actually an unstructured or semi-structured. So, for example, the internet. If you look at the internet and you see the type of data that is being generated, we are going to know that majority of them are unstructured. The video files we are uploading, the audio files we are uploading, our pictures, PDF files, so on and so on, even the messages that we type. All of these are forms of unstructured data. And that is why processing unstructured data is actually a whole world of its own in the data ecosystem. Now, like I said before, there is now rapid growth of data collection in this age because of the reasons I mentioned earlier about the internet and some of the infrastructures which are now available. So some people put it that approximately 328 million terabytes of data are created each day globally. Let's look at this in gigabytes. This is 328 billion gigabytes of data every day. So which tells you that data in this era is a huge component of our daily life and activity. And that is why some experts said that data is the oil of this century, because it is everywhere, and the more they are available, the more the values that we can generate from them. So, benefits of data literacy, let me start with this particular quote by Geoffrey Moore. He said that without big data analytics, that is, without employing the method of extracting information from data, companies are blind and deaf. They will wander out onto the web like they are on a freeway. That is, companies are going to make a lot of blind decisions without employing data-driven decision making. And that is why big companies all over the world, they don't just employ data professionals. They actually build teams, like a whole department that handle their data. Like I talk about the Arsenal Football Club the other time. that Arsenal Football Club actually bought a whole consulting firm and incorporated it into their football club just to be able to analyze all the data of their matches, their players, everything that is necessary. Please, if your microphone is on, please mute it. Nobody who comes to mute it, please. So now, when we want to talk about the benefit of data literacy, we can actually classify it into three different categories. We have the business owners, the experts, and then the domain experts. Now, let's look at business owners. Some people who own their own business, by understanding some of this concept of how to use data to solve problems, they can actually progress their own business without having to employ a data professional. Over time, when business owners ask me to help them build dashboard and code, I look at them. They cannot pay for my service as a small business owner. But if they themselves have this particular skill, it's going to be very useful for them, and they will be able to do basic things like building a dashboard, building a small database on a spreadsheet for their own business, and so on. So business owners are going to benefit a lot from data literacy simply because they will be able to use it to know how their business is performing and also to do some basic operations that will actually help their business. The second category are those people who want to become data guru, like a guru in the data ecosystem. There are several career opportunities in the data ecosystem, and we are going to be talking about them in one of our webinars. There is a whole lot of areas where one can specialize as a data professional, and these are top level expertise that you can earn 6 figures per annum, people in US, Canada, and all over the world. Then the other category of people are the domain experts. Domain experts are people that have their own profession, people like accountants, people like marketers, people like HR and co, salesperson who are happy doing their job, but they want to employ the power of analytics and data analytics into their day-to-day activities. So if you are an executive at your workplace and you know how to interpret data, it's going to help you a lot. And like I said, data, the skill set in the data ecosystem, or the ability to analyze data or to handle data, is that skill set that can be added to any domain expertise in the world. There is no job you are doing that you cannot add data analysis to. Whether you are an engineer, a healthcare professional, a scientist, a researcher, anything you are doing, you can actually add this skill set of data analysis into that particular domain. And this will make you to stand out in those domains. So in conclusion, we have been able to see the need for data skills as sporadically increased in this age. We have also been able to see that data skill is compatible with every form of domain expertise. We have been able to see too that having a data skill will always be an advantage. So now let's look at some of the important times in the data ecosystem. We may not complete this in this webinar today. We are going to continue them in the next webinar. That will be on Wednesday. So let's move on. there is something called data cleaning. So, like we said earlier, that extracting information from data is like extracting value out of a raw material. So, when we have our data is always dirty. So, if you have not had that before, please take note of that today. Data is always dirty. And for us to make use of data, we have to clean it. And that process is identification and removal of errors, removal of inconsistencies, removal of inaccuracies, and, and so many unwanted entities from our data. So we are still going to be talking about this later as we move on in this program. That, believe me, the primary work of a data analyst or a data professional is actually the process of data cleaning. So you cannot do any tangible work or get any tangible results from a data if we do not clean it. In fact, there is a rule called 80-20 rule. It says that data professionals actually spend an average of 80% of their time cleaning data, while the remaining 10 to 20% is actually spent analyzing the data. So data cleaning is what you are going to be doing over and over again as a data professional. Now, we call something data wrangling. Data wrangling is the transformation of data into format that is suitable for analysis. So, when we have our data, we want to clean it. When we have our clean data, the next thing is that we want to transform that data into a format that is going to be useful for our analysis. And believe me, from the second course, we are going to be doing a whole lot of all these things, and it's going to be very interesting. We are taking our time to explain these things now so that we can have a very good understanding of what we are doing. So, doing something is one thing, having a good understanding of why you are doing it is what makes you a professional. So, a professional is someone who has a very good understanding of every decision they are making. And that is the essence of this course. So, data wrangling is the process of transforming our data in a way that it is going to be useful for our analysis. Let me give us a very good example. Assuming they give us the performance of students in a particular class. So some score 60, some score 40, 50, all those numbers. Now, in order for us to grade these students, we have to categorize these marks, like saying 70 and above is A, 60 to 70 is B, 50 to 60 is C. So the process of mapping each value in our data set to a particular category is what is called data transformation. Because by this, we can say, okay, out of 100 students, 20 of them have A, 30 have B, and unfortunately, 10 had F. So, in order for us to actually get insights and extract information from data, we have to do what is called data transformation. Then we have what is called data mining. So the term actually explains itself. Data mining is the process of extracting information from data, and it's a whole world of its own. Believe me, we are going to be practicing all of this in our second course. We are going to be doing all of this with Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. Now, when we are mining data, what are we looking for? We are looking for trends and we are looking for patterns. So, let's look at trend and pattern. So, what is a pattern? Pattern is a recognizable structure, regularity, or characteristics that repeats or occurs consistently within the data set. So, for example, in a particular school, when we collate the performance of students over the last 3 years, we discover that some students were actually, let's say, we discover that students were performing better in some courses, while students were performing averagely in some other courses. And then we look deeper and discover that students perform better when some teachers taught them a particular course, while it is otherwise when some other teachers taught them the same type of courses. Then we can know that, okay, there is a pattern here, and that is what pattern is all about. So when you have data sets and you want to mine information, you want to mine insights out of that data set, what you are looking for is either in the form of pattern or trend. And this is what pattern is. So we are going to be seeing examples of this when we get to our second course. Then we have trend. Trend is the general direction or tendency of change over time. So trend is what happens over time. For example, let's say in a particular organization, we want to see the performance of our sales over time. So we can say, okay, over the last 3 years, how has our income been doing? That is what you call a trend. Is our income increasing? Is it reducing? Or does it stay at the same level? So that kind of information, we call them trend. And this is basically what we are going to be looking for. Even at the highest level of data analytics, even at machine learning level, everything still comes down to trend and pattern. So I believe we have been able to get some information tonight. In the next webinar, by God's grace, on Wednesday, we are going to be starting from ETL. So we are going to the second session of this course and of this particular seminar today. So the second session is where we want to talk about the guidelines that we need to follow in this particular program. So we want this program to be precise and to be time-bound. So we don't just want to be doing the program endlessly. So that if you are going to participate in our programs, you can actually plan ahead and make a very good pre-informed decision. So let's start from here. For our certificates, if you are going to be getting certificate from us that you can use to look for a job or to add to your portfolio online and co, you must complete the first and the second courses. The first course is Understanding Data and its Ecosystem, and this is the first webinar for that. And then the second course is Using Spreadsheets, which is going to combine Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel. So one must complete those 2 courses, and that is our basic certificate. However, some people who want to move forward and learn some of the advanced concepts then can start over again and move and progress to the next level. So those ones too can get certificates at different levels. But for anybody to get a certificate at all, you must complete the first and the second courses. However, for some people who are not new to the system, if they just want to do a particular course like Power BI, Python, we may speak with them and see if they actually understand what they are doing and give them certificates for those individual courses. But the first and the second courses are merged together. People can come and do our Python course and get a certificate for it. So you can say, okay, I want to do the first and the second course, get a basic certificate, and then I want to add Power BI to this. I don't want to touch SQL. We don't have issue with it. The plan is that by the time you complete the first and the second course, you are already capable of solving problems for your organization or for your own business using the power of data analysis. So that is how the program is designed. However, if you want to now learn more advanced tools, then you can come and get other additional certificates. So some people are going to take our advanced course, which is actually 5 courses in a row, from the first course to Python. Then those ones, we are going to give them an advanced certificate. Very good. Now, the seminars. Our seminars is going to be only 3 times per week and 3 weeks in a month. So, for example, now, our seminar is going to hold this week. Next week is not going to hold. The goal is that we want everybody to adjust, go to their material and go. And then upper week, the following week, and then the week after, we are going to have seminars again. So we want to have our seminars 3 times per week and 3 weeks in a month. So we want to have one free week that will give us opportunity to check our course materials. Some of them are on YouTube, and some of them are on portals. Some of them are on some of our private Telegram channels. So we want us to not be overwhelmed with information, so that we can digest these information as much as possible. Our learning resources. So these seminars are for overview. And then for this first course, the seminar is for overview. So we will just begin overview of some of the topics that are present in our materials. However, when we get to the second course, from second course and above, the webinars is going to be for projects. So our webinars are going to be for projects, so that everything we would have gone through in the videos on YouTube channel and the videos on our private channels and co, we put everything together and we come and do projects. So, for example, being able to use Excel is one thing. Being able to use Excel to solve problems as a data analyst is another thing entirely. So, when we say we are teaching you Excel and Google Sheets, we are not teaching you Excel and Google Sheets so that you can build it. No, we are teaching you Excel and Google Sheets on how you can use it to solve a problem, on how you can be working for an organization and your boss will say, our sales is going down, what can we do? And you can say, oh, okay, sir, let's look at some of our data that we have generated in the last 1 to 3 years, and let's use Excel, Google Sheet to see where the problem is and know where we are going. So that is what the seminars are going to be for when it comes to the second courses and above. We are going to be doing project upon project upon project, so that we can see different ways through which you can actually impact businesses and other things using these particular skill sets. So our materials are going to be on the YouTube channels, and then also on our dedicated Telegram channels, and then some people are on the portal, on our learning management system. So the point is that we should go through our materials both on the YouTube channel and in our dedicated areas and have a good information of all these concepts. And then when we come to webinars, the webinars will just be a place to apply them and also to just do an overview of some of these things. Like the topic for today now is already in our materials, both on the learning management system and also on some dedicated Telegram channels. Any one of us who have gone through those materials, you will see that today now you will have a better understanding of these concepts. Now, our assessments. Our assessment for this first course, we are going to be having end of module quiz, and then we are going to be having end of course exam. So end of module quiz is already on all of the channels. So if you are going through your material on the learning management system or on the dedicated Telegram channel, you are going to be seeing the end of module quiz there. So you can go through them. The answers are not there. Why? Because we are going to review those questions or those quiz on this particular webinars. So we are going to do a webinar where we are going to look at all of those questions and answer them together so that you can understand this thing. However, the end of course exam, you are going to write that one by yourself. And it is when you pass it, at least you score more than 70%. That is when you can say, good, you have understood some of the basic concepts to our own satisfaction. Now, completion requirements, that is, those requirements that you must fulfill before we can think of giving you any form of certificate. One, for this first course, you should pass your end of course exam. So for this first course, what we just need from you is to pass your end of course exam. By the time you pass your end of course exam, then you are qualified to move to the second phase. And that second phase is the second course, which is on spreadsheet, which includes Google Sheet and Microsoft Excel. For second course and above, second course, which are the ones I've mentioned, the third course, which are BI tools till Python. That one is going to be a combination of projects. So we are going to be doing many projects. We are going to be doing minor projects, and we are going to have a final project. So if we are going to be at a level where we say, yes, you have actually done these courses, it means you must complete those projects, because those projects are an avenue for you to practice what you have learned and solve problems in a demo manner, so that when you tell your guy that, sir, I can work as a data analyst for our company, you can really do something and be able to make impact in that organization. And also, when you are doing job interview and they ask you that, what are the projects that you have done, you can have something to showcase that, yes, this is the project I have done, and these are the principles I applied in order to get these facts and figures outside of this data. Now, the duration. The first course, this particular course, is 4 weeks, and that starts from today. So if you want to work with this cohort and get our certificate for this cohort, then your time starts from today. So this course is going to be done for the next 4 weeks, and by the end of the 4th week, we are going to close this particular cohort. We are going to close it. And anybody who is able to fulfill the requirements, they are going to be qualified to earn their certificates. The same thing will go for the second course, which is going to be for 5 weeks. So the second course is going to be for 5 weeks. So within that 5 weeks, if you are able to do all your projects, complete your final project, then you are going to get your certificate. So our basic certificate, which is a combination of the first and the second course, is actually going to be within a period of 9 weeks, which is actually 2 months. So the goal is that any one of us now who is very serious with this program should be able to get their certificates for the basic certificate by the middle of August. So by the end of August, you should have your certificate with you. So